Thank you everyone. Right now, may I request everyone to rise and you honor the national anthems. First, national anthem of India, and then the national anthem. Excellency and chief guest, I invite you to come over to the podium and we honor the national anthems. Thank you. Thank you so much. May I now call our protocol team to bring up the bouquet of flower for our chief guest. Thank you so much, Excellency. Thank you, our chief guest. A respected chief guest, Excellency High Commissioner of Rwanda to India, the representative of the UN Secretary General, distinguished guests, all protocol observed, fellow Rwandans, friends. My name is Emile Mwepesi. I'm second counselor at the High Commission of Rwanda, and I'm honored to be the moderator during this commemoration event. This is a solemn evening of remembrance. 30 years after the genocide, Rwanda, the people of Rwanda, and the High Commission, we are pleased and comforted by your compassionate presence when Rwanda and the world commemorate and reflect on the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Our program of this evening is as follows. We will proceed soon to the candle lighting as a symbol of light of hope. The protocol will guide us and our guests for the candle lighting. We shall invite the ambassadors, excellencies, the chief guests, the UN representative, the diplomats, for the light, for the candle lighting outside. Then, after the candle lighting, we'll have a documentary on KWIBUKA30, and we shall follow with the address by the UN Resident Coordinator, His Excellency Shombi Sharp. We'll have a children's poem. We'll listen to the Ambassador of Ireland, His Excellency Mr. Kevin Kelly. And then we'll listen to a song, Ngakiri Ndabo. And then the High Commissioner of Rwanda to India will follow with her keynote address. And we will see a short video of the illumination of the Qutb Minar on the evening of 7 April. And after that, the High Commissioner will invite our chief guest for his keynote address. In the meantime, we shall felicitate our speakers of today, and we'll let you know how this program will be followed. There will be a song. This song was played on 7 while Rwanda was commemorating this 30th anniversary of the genocide. And here we also have the time to listen to that beautiful song. And then we shall have a vote of thanks and a high tea. So right now, I would like to invite our chief guest, Excellency, ambassadors, high commissioners, diplomats. You may please rise, and our protocol will direct you where the candle lighting is going to take place.
Of remembrance, the light of life. Imitima igasubira mu nda, imitima igasubira mu bitereko. turi umwe turiyubaka turi urumuri rutazima urumuri rw'u Rwanda n'urwanjye nawe rutazima n'urumuri rutazima has never died. And today, this spirit leads us into a brighter future. Of remembrance, the light of life. Imitima igasubira mu nda, imitima igasubira mu bitereko. never died. And today, this spirit leads us into a brighter future.
Okay, shortcut.
So I think we are done with the activity of candle lighting, and thank you so much, Excellencies. This is a symbol of hope, as I said. Thank you so much. Now we have a documentary on KWIBUKA30, on the commemoration, on the genocide. So let me tell our technical team to let us watch this documentary. Thank you.
Is Rwanda today? A country transformed over the past 30 years. This new Rwanda has been forged out of the ashes of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, an event that shocked the world. Our story offers a warning of what can happen when political leaders preach division and hatred triumphs over humanity. But it also tells us what can be achieved when a determined people fight together for unity and reconciliation. This new Rwanda has been forged out of the ashes of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, an event that shocked the world. Our story offers a warning of what can happen when political leaders preach division and hatred triumphs over humanity. But it also tells us what can be achieved when a determined people fight together. This is our journey, told by those who have traveled together as we have moved from despair to hope. For much of the world, Rwanda first existed in 1994. And yet, our story starts long before this. Before colonialism, Rwandans had a rich culture, one language, and the people were united around their own organic form of governance. This all changed when colonial powers chose to control Rwandans by ethnicity, creating division and conflict where none had existed previously. This division grew into hatred and violence, culminating in the genocide against the Tutsi, where over 1 million people were murdered in 100 days.
zaba zifite ubuhiri, zifite imipanga aho mu isoko, zibyina nta ukanda burende, bahiga abatutsi mbese mu buryo bukomeye.
Maze kubona bikomeye, abantu batwika, abantu barya inka, abantu batemagurana za bariyeri bazishyizeho, yewe n'abana na madamu tujya kwa databukwe. Bari bafite imbaraga nyinshi. Abo bana rero bahamaze iminsi mike, hanyuma musaza wa madamu se wabo uvindimwe na se n'abandi b'abavandimwe babo nibo bafashe iya mbere, nta wundi wivanzemo, babajyana muri Nyabarongo. Barabaheka baragenda babata muri Nyabarongo, barangije barataha.
Muri jenoside 94 banyiciye imiryango yanjye mu bana 9 nabyaye, hasigayemo twana tubiri.
Abana ba Mariya babiri n'umugabo wa Mariya, abo bose badusanze kuri bariyeri twe turagera kubica.
Abagabo bacu babazamuye mu ngo bababwira ngo tugende tujye kwirinda, ariko bo bazi ikigiye kuvamo.
Bahera ku mugabo wanjye kuko bari kuri liste, bahita bamutsinda aho ngaho haruguru y'urugo gatoya, barabarashe, babamurashiye amasasu, umwe aravuga ngo n'uyu sha mbayiha n'uyu.
This genocide was long planned by the government of the time, who used education and the media to divide Rwandans, creating the conditions for the genocide to happen. The preparation of the genocide and of the 100 days of killings happened in full view of the world, who stood by, watched, and did nothing. No one came to Rwanda's rescue. The killings were only stopped when the Rwanda Patriotic Front overthrew the genocidal government. From that moment, Rwandans began the long, hard road to recovery, healing, and reconciliation.
Mu mwaka w'ibihumbi 2004 nibwo nafashe icyemezo cyo gusaba imbabazi Mariya. Mfati umwanzuro numvaga mvuga nti se wenda yaba ntari namusanzeyo kuko numvaga mfite ubwoba. Nkongera nkavuga nti se ubundi amaherezo yazaba yahe. Ngize amahirwe rero ubwo nuvuga ngo Mariya asanze ariyo. Nibwo namubwiye nti uko biri kose urabizi ngiye ndi mu bantu nyine bakwiciye ariko noneho ndagira ngo umpe imbabazi.
Byagiye bigenda gahoro uko dusabana, uko duhura, uko tuvugana, uko twigishwa, hace mu nyigisho nyinshi cyane. Ntabwo byari byoroshye.
Hari ahantu neza nemereye neza ko imbabazi yazimpaye. Narangiye ngira ku isantere ahantu mbambonye Mariya, naramuhamagaye turasangira, mbona aremeye turasangira. Muri njye uwo munsi numvise aribwo nafunguwe, numvise aribwo mvuye muri gereza.
To heal the wounds of a nation where neighbors killed neighbors, and even some family members turned on each other, the new Rwanda had to find a way to deliver justice for the victims, which could manage the scale of the crimes, and could also heal the torn social fabric of our society. So, we turn to our history for the answer. We set up Gacaca tribunals, a traditional form of community justice where citizens elected inyangamugayo, men and women of integrity in their communities, who heard almost 2 million genocide cases. This not only ensured that justice was delivered, but also established the truth of the killings. Reconciliation could begin at last.
Gacaca zimaze kugeramo abaturage tugakorana, bari abafunguye bakaza bagashinjanya. Kanaka uwe kanaka twajyanye mu gitero, uwe kanaka twajyanye mu gitero, ngo kuko abakoze jenoside, ngo kuko bagaragaye.
Abenshi rero muri Gacaca byatumye bamenya uko ababo bishwe, barihangana barabyakira, bamenya naho bajugunywe.
We asked that the genocide survivors make huge sacrifices by putting aside their desire for retribution in favor of forgiveness and reconciliation. And we asked all Rwandans to leave the ethnic divisions in the past and embrace a future of Ndumunyarwanda, where we are all Rwandan.
Nabaga muri CNRD, naje mfite ipeti rya General de Brigade. Kuyo dufata icyemezo tukava muri CNRD tukaza mu Rwanda, nuko twari tumaze kumenya neza ko leta y'u Rwanda ifite gahunda nziza yo kunga abanyarwanda, ikangurira abanyarwanda aho bari hose batahuke mu mahoro, kandi waza ikakwakira neza nk'umunyarwanda, ugatura aho ushaka utuje utekanye nta kibazo gihari. Muri RDF igihe mazemo nabonye nta vangura ribamo, umuntu akora akazi ashinzwe nta kindi.
Rwanda is still a work in progress. It is up to the next generations to learn the true story of our past, to protect against genocide, denial, and hate, and keep the memory and the lessons of our history alive.
En fait, le négationnisme est en pleine expansion sur Internet, sur les réseaux sociaux, puis sur Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Le discours n'a pas changé. Certaines personnes vont par exemple prétendre que le génocide n'a pas été planifié, mais que les gens se sont mis en colère et ont commencé à tuer. Il faut qu'on soit plus nombreux à protéger la vérité, à protéger l'histoire du génocide contre les Tutsis sur ces plateformes-là.
We have made progress across every sector, creating a secure and ambitious country which offers opportunity and hope to all Rwandans.
byahindutse ni byinshi nyuma ya jenoside yakorewe abatutsi umwana ariko akabona buruse atitawe ngo n'ukwande
ndi umukobwa ukora mu bijyanye n'ubuvuzi ndetse nkaba ndi no muri siporo kandi byose nkambikora neza rero umwana w'umukobwa icyo namubwira ni uko turashoboye muri rusange ibyo twajyamo byose dushoboye kubikora neza ndetse turanahagarariwe hirya no hino kugeza ku mudugudu turahagarariwe n'ijwi ryacu rishobora kumvikana.
For our friends around the world, we thank you for continuing to stand with us and ask you to share Rwanda's story and what we've learned about division and reconciliation at a time when the world seems increasingly more fractured. Rwanda's experience is one of unimaginable loss, but it is also the story of a people determined, of resilience, of sacrifice, and of rebirth. Rwanda today is proof that out of the depths of despair can come great hope.
Thank you so much. I don't need to add more. The movie is self-explanatory. Yeah, this is Rwanda from the start, from 30 years ago up to now. And we are very grateful because you have not been alone. We have been with you all the time, like today. Now, may I invite Excellency Shombi Sharp for his keynote address of today. Excellency.
On behalf of the United Nations team in India, and as representative of the United Nations Secretary General in India, I'm very honored and privileged to be joining you here on such a solemn and important occasion, and to begin wishing you Namaste, Muraho, welcome. I wish to acknowledge first and foremost Her Excellency Jacqueline Mukangira, High Commissioner of Rwanda to India, Chief Guest Mr. Savala Naik Mude, Additional Secretary from the Ministry of External Affairs, my colleague Ambassador of Ireland to India, His Excellency Kevin Kelly, and all of the members of the diplomatic community, representatives of government, distinguished guests of all sorts, and especially the wonderful children, young people who will be gracing us in a bit with their amazing songs of joy and of hope. As we gather to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda, it is absolutely imperative that we embrace the theme, remember, unite, renew. Remembering this dark chapter in human history is both an act of honoring the victims and a solemn reminder of our collective responsibility to prevent such atrocities from ever happening again, and to embrace the courage of the survivors. We must acknowledge in this course the shortcomings and the failures of the international community, including the United Nations, during that period, and learn from the lessons of that tragic experience and build forward to a brighter future. In 2005, the UN established a dedicated outreach program to help education, to help build remembrance, precisely with the aim to prevent future acts of genocide. This year, that outreach program has organized an exhibition, including an online exhibit, that highlights the power of genocide reconciliation, the power of coming together that we have just witnessed in that a powerful film. featuring the stories of individual survivors and reminding of the deadly impact of hate speech and conflict that unfortunately remains so relevant today as war rages on in so many parts of this world. This morning, the UN Information Center and the High Commission of Rwanda co-organized a touching and powerful performance by students from schools across Delhi to commemorate and raise awareness about the genocide against the Tutsi. And dear colleagues, it is now my privilege and honor to read out to you the message of the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres on this occasion. And I quote, "On this day in 1994, and for the nearly 100 days that followed, 1 million Tutsi children, women, and men were killed by their fellow Rwandans. Families turned against families. Friends became foes, and a dark spirit of international and brutal violence engulfed a nation. We will never forget the victims of this genocide, nor will we ever forget the bravery and resilience of those who survived, whose courage and willingness to forgive remain a burst of light and hope amidst this dark chapter in human history. This year, we remind ourselves of the genocide's rancid root, hate. To those who would seek to divide us, we must deliver a clear, unequivocal, and urgent message: never again. We can draw a straight line between the senseless slaughter of 1 million Tutsi, as well as some Hutu and others who opposed the genocide, and the decades of hate speech that preceded it, inflamed by ethnic tensions and the long shadow of colonialism. Today, around the world, the darkest impulses of humanity are being awakened once more by the voices of extremism, division, and hate. On this solemn day of remembrance, let's pledge to stand as one against all forms of hatred and discrimination. Let us ensure that the acts that began on April 7, 1994, are never forgotten and never repeated anywhere." End of quote. The Secretary General will participate in an official commemorative ceremony at the United Nations headquarters in New York this Friday, along with the President of the General Assembly and other dignitaries, including Rwanda's permanent representative to the United Nations. So, ladies and gentlemen, despite the darkness of the past, there is strong hope for a brighter future. And the new Rwanda that we have just seen brings a profound example of that hope. I would also mention being the first country in the world to have a majority of female representatives in parliament, which links directly to the United Nations Security Council 1325 and gives us hope that we will not repeat. And as we are gathered here in New Delhi, I would wish also to recognize the vitally important contributions that India has and is making to international peace and security, not only as the largest contributor to UN peacekeeping since the very beginning, and the optimism that India's youth, the greatest youth generation in history, brings as we look forward. With that, I will conclude in remembering the victims, uniting against hatred, and renewing our commitment to peace and reconciliation. We can and we must pave a way together for a brighter tomorrow. Saath hai to sambhav hai. Mura koze. Dhanyavad, bahut bahut dhanyavad. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency Shombi, for such a wonderful speech and the message from the UN Secretary General. May I now call two children who are going to recite a short poem on this occasion. It will be also a reflection of what was Rwanda 30 years ago and how Rwanda is today. Thank you, thank you. You're most welcome. And any mic? Thank you so much. I think many of you are familiar with these two faces, right? So they are here again. So, Marcus and Sine, can you please stand in the middle?
KWIBUKA30, poem by Kalinda and Sine from Rwanda. Good evening, everyone. We last gathered here on this magnificent hall on 7th April 2023. We are happy to be with you again, friends of Rwanda. Our poem today is entitled, Rwanda, Rwanda, Motherland. Rwanda, Rwanda, Motherland, land of 1,000 hills. 30 years ago, thou hadst suffered the worst of genocides. Thy body had died, thine soul never failed. Your killers buried you, not knowing you were a seed that had to grow from the soil, victorious. Rwanda, Rwanda, motherland. The international community turned a blind eye in 1994. More than 1 million Tutsi were decimated, beheaded, buried alive, eaten hearts, so much atrocities. Today, your seeds are blooming. Rwanda, Rwanda, motherland. Your sons and daughters saved you, brought you back to life. We bow and pay tribute to our soldiers, fallen and alive. We celebrate the resilience of the survivors. Respect and love to our dear President Paul Kagame. You defeated the killers, gave all to parents, families, country, for us to thrive. Rwanda, Rwanda, motherland. You look so great today, 30 years after the genocide against the Tutsi in 1994. Your cleanliness reflects clean hearts. Your greenery symbolizes rejuvenation. Thank God your past did not hold you back. May you keep growing away from the dark. Rwanda, Rwanda, motherland. May you shine endlessly. The world needs love and a human heart today more than ever. Conflicts around the globe remind us of the genocide 30 years ago in Rwanda. Human suffering should not be of news today. No to genocide, no to hate speech. Yes to peace, yes to tolerance, yes to mutual acceptance. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus and Sine. You've done it. Thank you so much. These young faces were here last year, as they told you, and they are here now today. And Marcus and Sine, will you be here also next year? Yes. Hope so. Thank you so much. So after this wonderful poem by these children, the time now is the keynote address by the Ambassador of Ireland, His Excellency, Mr. Kevin Kelly. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
High Commissioner Mukangira, Chief Guests, Additional Secretary Mude, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Muraho. I am most honoured to have been invited by the High Commissioner to say a few words to you on this very solemn occasion. I'm particularly pleased to be invited to do so here in New Delhi, because 5 years ago, in fact, I represented the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ireland at the 25th anniversary KWIBUKA event, which was hosted by President Kagame in Kigali. I've been invited here to speak because I'm a friend of Rwanda. I not only had the honour of being Ambassador of Ireland to Rwanda from 2007 to 2011, but in fact I spent just over 2 years living in Rwanda from 1997 to 1999, as the country was just starting its journey of recovery from the horrors of one of the greatest tragedies of the 20th century, the genocide against the Tutsi. So I was there just 3 years following the genocide. Just over 30 years ago, with systematic savagery, over 100 days, 1 million people were murdered in Rwanda. Merely because of their ethnicity, the lives of million men, women and children were brutally ended. The victims were from the Tutsi community. They were targeted purely because they were Tutsi. Others who spoke out or attempted to defend their families and neighbours also lost their lives during this period of blind hatred. We should never forget what happened. The world stood idly by as we watched the slaughter of 1 million people. It was a massive failure of the international community. As President of Ireland, Mary Robinson was one of the first heads of state to visit Rwanda after the genocide against the Tutsis. She arrived in September of that year, 1994. I will always remember her speaking to the cameras with tears in her eyes, saying, "It was a harrowing visit. I can never forget the scenes I saw. The smell of blood and children's shoes abandoned in churches." Since that time, former President of Ireland, Robinson, has spoken out about the failures of the United Nations and the wider international community, and the lessons that must be learned from Rwanda. President Kagame, too, this weekend in Kigali, most powerfully and passionately made the same point. Today, 30 years on, we join with the Rwandan nation and its people in remembering. We honour them in our remembrance, and we express our sympathy and solidarity with the families and the friends of the victims whose loss endures today. We salute the considerable achievements made by Rwanda in the difficult task of building national unity, while ensuring the pursuit of justice for victims and the preservation of the memory of genocide. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I was invited because I am a witness, just one witness, of those remarkable achievements. I moved to Kigali in 1997 with my wife Pamela and our young daughter Maya, who was just 2 years of age at the time. We worked with an Irish Caritas NGO called Trocare, or Trocare as the Rwandans call it, which was supporting victims of the genocide with housing, education and trauma counselling. We lived in a city and a country at that time which had been literally torn apart. In Kigali at night, we would go to sleep hearing some gunfire in the hills. And in the morning, we would wake up to listen to the BBC World Service, to news reports of further murderous attacks by the same genocidaire who would cross the border from Congo in order to try to finish the horrible, inhuman enterprise they had started. As a small Irish NGO funded by the Irish government, we tried to do what we could to support the new Rwandan government in restoring peace, providing essential services and justice to people who had suffered such unimaginable horrors. My wife and I paid respect at the many genocide memorials that were located throughout the country. I remember in particular being shown around Murambi Technical School. It's a secondary school located in one of the most beautiful places on earth. It's a beautiful valley in Gikongoro. And I was shown around this school by a man who showed me the scars on his head that he had endured himself. and he pointed out to the room which contained the remains of his own family members. I saw the bodies of men, women, and children, some of them the age of my own daughter Maya, lying on pallets in classroom after classroom, wearing T-shirts with Western logos and Disney characters that might have been worn by my own girl Maya. Memories like that do not fade away. But thankfully, they are accompanied now by new memories of a country which has done so much to recover itself, to heal itself, and to prosper. You can imagine my surprise to visit Rwanda 10 years later in 2007, this time as the first Irish ambassador to Rwanda. I saw with awe the changes that had taken place in just 10 years, the massive improvements in a whole range of areas, in infrastructure, in roads, in health and education. It was and is a country transformed. So today, in addition to the terrible memories, we must honour what the survivors have achieved in Rwanda, rebuilding what had been destroyed and building for themselves and future generations of Rwandans a much better future. Today, the survivors can point with justified pride to what has been achieved since 1994. Of course, for countless people, the hurt will not go away. I come from a country that has also experienced conflict, and I know that it takes many, many years for those memories to fade. But for a new generation of Rwandans who were not even born at that time, they can be rightly proud of a country that has come so far in such a short time. Today, we also extend the hand of friendship in addressing the conflict challenges that remain to be resolved in respect of the wider region. Of course, we see today on our screens violence and conflict in different parts of the world, despite the lessons that should have been learned from 30 years ago. Hate speech and violations of human rights are the seedbed of genocide. That has to be the lesson of Rwanda. It is through remembering the victims of the past and the lessons of the past that we can move beyond the past. This will be the most fitting way to remember the victims of 30 years ago and to honour the survivors. We all can and we must play our part in preventing and stopping conflict and violence. We must work individually and collectively for respect of human rights, for democracy and the rule of law. And by standing by these principles, we can be true to both the victims and the survivors. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to conclude with a beautiful saying in my own language that we have in Ireland. Erska achela awara nadini. This literally means that under the shadow and shelter of each other, people survive. Or another way of understanding it is, we are nothing without community. Today, this evening in New Delhi, we are not Irish or Indian or Rwandan. We are citizens of the same world that depends on each other for our continued survival. I thank you all for listening to me, and I wish that we will continue to be inspired by the strength and courage of the Rwandan people as they learn from the past and build a brighter future for us all. Murakoze cyane.
Thank you, Excellency, Mr. Kevin Kelly, for this amazing, wonderful speech. Your testimony was really a reflection of what was Rwanda 25, 27 years ago. And the real description by a former president of Ireland, we had Rwanda that was filled of a putrid air and vultures all over the country. Now, at this point, at this juncture, we have something beautiful for you. Yes, it's actually a sad song, but the way these young singers are going to perform, you will be very much touched. We were this morning, and we had a very, very, very beautiful moment with them, so that we really completely forgot our somber moment in which we were. They are singing in Kinyarwanda, though they are Indians. You will be surprised. We don't have any interpretation. You will interpret by yourself. So, our young team from Noida, welcome again.
Baru kwawe yarongowe ndetse ubu wabyaye kane niba irindabo tukuzaniye kandi umva n'iri jambo niba izi ndabo n'izanyu ziba humurire neza cyane niza y'amashami yashibutse niza za kotari mavugaga niza babuzukuru babuze muzagire 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 zanyu.
Thank you so much for this wonderful song, this beautiful performance. These young students, briefly, they were actually singing a song by a survivor of the genocide. It says, my begone parents receive these flowers. They are for you. Kindly receive them. And he goes on saying, they represent what you have been talking about, the soldiers of RPA who were coming to save our lives, but which soldiers we could not see with our eyes. He's also referring to the grandchildren of the parents who are dead. He's saying, Dad, do you know that I got married? Do you know that our last born also got married? And she has now 4 children. So this is a song of memory. This is a song of commemoration, but has a lot of meaning when it comes to genocide. So, Excellency, High Commissioner, this is now the time of your keynote address. And after your speech, we shall follow the short video of the illumination of Qutb Minar. And then you will invite the chief guest. Thank you, Excellency. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Emil. It won't be easy for me to speak after this touching and moving song, because it says a lot to me. But I will try. Our respected chief guest, Excellency, the UN Resident Coordinator in India, Excellency, the Ambassador of Ireland in India, our 2 speakers, Excellencies, heads of diplomatic missions and international organizations accredited to India, senior government officials here present, dear diplomats, dear honorary consuls, members of the business community, civil society organizations, academia, media, think tanks, Friends of Rwanda, distinguished guests, all protocol observed, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, namaskar. Muraho neza, that is how we say in my mother tongue. I'm so pleased to see such a big gathering who came to join us this evening for this noble and universal cause of commemorating for the 30th time the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in my country. Allow me to express my heartfelt gratitude to each one of you for taking your precious time to be with us this evening. Your presence here this evening means a lot to us, and we don't take it for granted. Indeed, you've shown us the true friendship. On a special note, let me thank the government of India and its people, who have always stood by Rwanda during the past commemorative activities. This year has brought a big significance with the famous illumination on 7th April 2024 of the Indian Toll Monument, the Qutub Minar, with the colors of my country. This is a symbol of global unity and solidarity in commemoration of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. We are also glad that India has sent a high-level delegation to Kigali to attend the 30th commemoration of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, where over 5,000 people gathered, including a big number of current and former heads of state, as well as other senior government officials from various countries represented here this evening. May I also thank the United Nations in India for their valuable role to make this day of commemoration happen. Thank you so much, Excellency. Many thanks also to His Excellency, the UN Resident Coordinator in India, for your kind words about my country. I also thank you for reading out the UN Secretary General's message, which was also so strong. I wish to also thank His Excellency, the Ambassador of Ireland, for his strong message and support. Many thanks, Excellency, for being a good friend of Rwanda. Urakoze cyane. Allow me to also take this opportunity to thank all the schools and their students who have performed this evening, and those who have been proactive in researching on the genocide against the Tutsi and producing artworks that entertained and informed many during this morning exhibition session. And I was there, trust me, I was so moved by their paintings, by their knowledge about the 1994 genocide. So thank you so much all. And I wish to let you know that this year marks the 30th commemoration of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda under the theme Remember, Unite, Renew. On this day, Rwanda and the international community commemorate when the genocide against the Tutsi began in my country. The commemoration of genocide is a global framework to honor the victims, comfort survivors, and pay tribute to Rwandans who stopped the genocide and liberated the country. It provides an opportunity for the Rwandans and global community to stand together and draw lessons from Rwanda's tragic history with the goal of fighting genocide ideology, hate speeches, and preventing future genocides around the world. For Rwanda this time, this 30th commemoration serves as a call to action for the younger generation to reflect on the lives lost, the sacrifices made to rebuild our country, and their role in preserving unity. Through educational talks, creative arts, and community events, Rwandans will endeavor to address the past, recognize collective trauma, and work proactively to prevent the transmission of harmful narratives to the next generation. Excellencies, distinguished guests, after the world had said never again, should the genocide happen after the Holocaust, the world has watched without much concern the bloody unfolding of the genocide against the Tutsi in my country from April to July 1994, in which more than 1 million Tutsi were brutally slaughtered, including my family members. Indeed, I lost my dad. I lost my 4 siblings, including my bigger sister and my 3 brothers. I lost all my uncles. I lost all my aunties and their children. But I'm here today to tell you the story of a new Rwanda. The genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda was systematically prepared. Then 10,000 Tutsi were killed every day, 3 consecutive months. In fact, we lost 10% of our population over the course of 3 months in 1994, because the government of that time said the only way to save the country was to kill all the Tutsi, as they were all marked for extermination. That was the only reason why 1 million Tutsi were exterminated. Allow me to inform you that even since 1959, so many Tutsi were driven into exile, including the family of His Excellency Paul Kagame, the current president of Rwanda, who was at that time 4 years only. Those Tutsi who flew the country grew up in refugee camps, stateless and forgotten, with constant reminders that they belonged nowhere. They were even being told that Rwanda was full and that they would never go home. And that is the reason why a group of Rwandan refugees who were abroad decided to start the liberation struggle of my country in 1990. Those who stayed in Rwanda, including my family and I, we were discriminated in schools, jobs, our houses were burnt, our property looted, and so many Tutsi were killed since 1959. The killing machine was the most painful ever in human history. Victims were hacked with sharp machetes, nailed clubs, pregnant mothers tortured by opening wombs with knives, burying the victims alive, babies smashed on walls, and even killers used to eat the hearts of the victims. I saw some of those atrocities with my own eyes. Rape was used as a weapon of genocide. Hutu extremists released from hospitals patients suffering from AIDS to infect Tutsi women. As a consequence, victims of this rape and their newborn were infected with HIV and AIDS. As the dust settled, the land of 1,000 hills was left with the hundreds of thousands of helpless and hopeless orphans, destitute widows, a collectively traumatized nation, and a sharply divided people. Faced with the prospect of defeat by the Rwandese Patriotic Front, the perpetrators of the genocide emptied the country of all movable materials, destroyed anything they were not able to carry, and fled the country. We were even expected to repay the money the genocidal government has borrowed to purchase machetes and guns to kill Tutsis. Rwanda instantly became one of the most broken places on earth. My country became a hopeless and a failed state. Indeed, after the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, as my good friend, the ambassador of Ireland, mentioned, Rwanda was totally destroyed. And there was no hope that we will be able to rebuild it. So what the top leadership of my country did was to lay a strong foundation for political, social, and economic transformation. And that's why today, Rwanda is the safest country in Africa. "30 years later, the genocide perpetrated against the Tutsi in Rwanda is still fresh in the minds of those who witnessed it live and still bear the trauma of the untold suffering inflicted to them by their killers. As we, the survivors, struggle to live side by side with the scars of the physical and psychological wounds. Speaking at the big audience who attended the commemoration event held in Kigali on 7th April 2024, His Excellency Paul Kagame, President of the Republic of Rwanda, has a strong message to the survivors. I quote, "To the survivors among us, we are in your debt. We ask you to do the impossible by carrying the burden of reconciliation on your shoulders. And you continue to do so. Continue to do the impossible for our nation every single day, and we thank you." As the years pass, the descendants of survivors increasingly struggle with the quiet loneliness of longing for relatives they never met or never even got the chance to be born. Today, we are thinking of you as well. Our tears flow inward, but we carry on as a family. End of quote. Excellencies, dear friends, by reflecting on the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, we bow our heads to the brave soldiers of the then Rwandese Patriotic Army, which was then led by the current president of Rwanda, His Excellency Paul Kagame, and its political wing, the Rwandese Patriotic Front. They made a sacrifice of the sweetest part of their life, gave their young ideals, and fought courageously the bloody regime that was committing the genocide against the Tutsi. They also stood up and said no to the international community's inaction in fighting the genocidal regime. Indeed, the world turned a blind eye while the victims were being hacked to death by their killers. Today, the world should come together to heal the wounds left by the world's negligence in front of a perishing community. The absent international community will take, again, a very long time in calling the genocide against the Tutsi by its name, wasting time in unnecessary and time-buying debates on how and what otherwise the genocide be called till today. There are so many people who don't want to call it the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. His Excellency President Paul Kagame goes on in stating that, I quote, in 1994, all Tutsi were supposed to be completely exterminated once and for all because the killings that had forced me and hundreds of thousands of others into exile the decades before had not been sufficiently thorough. That is why even babies were systematically murdered so they would not grow up to become fighters. Rwandans will never understand why Rwandans will never understand why any country would remain intentionally vague about who was targeted in the genocide. I don't understand that. Such ambiguity is, in fact, a form of denial, which is a crime in and of itself, and Rwanda will always challenge it. End of quote. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the perpetrators of genocide have committed the highest crime against humanity. Obviously, they do all possible to hide, negate, and deny the atrocities. It is called the genocide denial, the last stage among the 10 stages that define a genocide. Thank you. Genocide ideology is today one of the threats to human security in the Great Rex region. In fact, after the genocidal forces were defeated in Rwanda in 1994, they fled to eastern DRC and built a strong base in that vast region without any significant opposition and sound political will by the Congolese government to eradicate it. What they did was mentioned by the ambassador of Ireland. Today, unfortunately, we are seeing the increasing hate speech and acts of genocide targeting the Tutsi community of the Congolese nationality. The perpetrators of these crimes are surprisingly the remnants of the defeated genocidal force back in 1994, who exported their murderous ideology and vowed to exterminate the Tutsi community. As a result, hundreds of thousands of Congolese Tutsi refugees live in Rwanda and beyond, completely forgotten, with no program of action for their safe return. The hate speech has also found its sanctuary in the public address by some members of the Democratic Republic of Congo security and political brass, who don't shy away from calling groups of radicals to exterminate the Tutsi community. The ultimate goal of the genocidal force, now grouped ironically under the FDLR, Force démocratique de libération du Rwanda, has always been to overthrow the legitimate government of Rwanda and bring back a primitive governance based on ethnic lines, discrimination, hate, and killings. But trust me, they will never succeed. They will never reach their goals. Simply because we, Rwandans, are united and committed to defend our sovereignty and protect our borders. You can count on us. This commemoration is an opportune moment to call the world and friends of Rwanda to look back at the international commitments to fight all sorts of negative ideology and act before the world witnesses once again grave acts of ethnic cleansing. Indeed, ideology is being spread through social media platforms and online channels, and in some education and higher learning institutions, so-called researchers are spreading revisionist narratives of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. This means double genocide, civil unrest, trouble killings, civil war, and so on and so forth. Excellencies, dear friends, the government of Rwanda, under the able leadership of His Excellency President Paul Kagame, has prioritized the commendable role of national unity and reconciliation for the development that Rwanda enjoys today. His Excellency President Paul Kagame, speaking at the celebration of the 20th anniversary of Unity Club of Rwanda in November 2016, he said, "We speak of unity because we, as a country, have known the consequence of division. We are here to remind each of the importance of unity, of recognizing each other's humanity. What is the alternative of unity? The alternative of unity is chaos, a nation destroyed by its own people. If we choose to turn against each other, we are serving the interest of those who benefit from our self-destruction." End of quote. Dear friends, during the 30th year's journey, unity and reconciliation among the Rwandan people have played an important role in denying a safe haven to ideologues of ethnicity and politics of polarization. While Rwandans have taken stock of how low their country has fallen during the genocide, they decided not to be defined by the past. Remembering the genocide goes with their commitment to unity and constant rebuild of their nation. We cannot turn the clock back, nor can we undo the harm caused, but we have the power to determine the future and to ensure that what happened never happens again, said my president. Today, Rwanda believes it is on a good path towards a developed and peaceful place to live for all. Rwanda has achieved levels of stability, peace, social cohesion, and significant global rates of human index, thanks to a visionary leadership and the support and determination of the Rwandan people. The government of Rwanda chose to transcend the past divisive politics and to bring everyone together in the reconstruction of the country. Rwanda's domestic governance based on Ndu Munyarwanda, I'm Rwandan and not Hutu, Tutsi or Twa has produced good political results for the stability of the country. My country made 3 choices. We chose to be united. We understood that we are one nation. We understood that we have to share everything. We understood that we have to live together on our territory without any discrimination. We understood that we have to look forward. The second choice we made was to think big, to have a bigger vision. And the third choice we made was to be accountable. I'm glad to inform you that there is 0 tolerance for corruption in my country, and there is no one who is above the law. Thank you. I'm also happy to inform you that we have 11 political parties in my country, and all of them are represented in the Rwandan parliament. We do have a forum of political parties where they all meet and discuss issues of national interest. And which is good is that they always come up with a consensus. I'm also pleased to inform you that we believe in power sharing, which was not the case before 1994. Our constitution stipulates that the president of the republic should not come from the same political party as the speaker of the lower house. But today, the Rwandan leadership goes beyond. Even the president of the upper house comes from the opposition. That's the Rwanda of today. The Rwandan constitution stipulates also that the winning party is not allowed to have more than 50% in the cabinet. And that is the reality on the ground, which was not the case before 1994. So that is the kind of power sharing I was talking about, and that is how we managed to rebuild our country. Dear friends, my country is also doing well in terms of development and its recovery. The life expectancy in Rwanda is now 70, compared to the lowest under 20 after the 1994 genocide. The economic growth has maintained an all-out constant of 8% except during the COVID-19 economic disruptions. Rwanda is today the second fastest growing economy in Africa. And Rwanda is also the second easiest place to do business in Africa. Those are not my words. Those are the words of the World Bank. You can Google it in the evening. As my good friends, the UN coordinator here in India and the ambassador of Ireland have mentioned, Rwandan women are queens. Rwanda has the highest number of women parliamentarians in the world. We do have 61.3% of female parliamentarians, and we do have 52% in the cabinet. You may ask me how it happened. Indeed, during the liberation struggle of my country, which started in 1990, some Rwandan women and girls have joined the front to help their brothers and sisters. And after the 1994 genocide, we noticed that women were the majority. So we could not expect any development if the majority of our population was left out. So that's why we decided to amend our constitution, which stipulates today that at least in all decision-making organs, at least 30% have to be women. Thank you. Excellencies, dear friends, Rwanda commemorates with the world the 30 years of the genocide with a sense of pride. My country is now resurrected from the 1994 destruction. The people of Rwanda have chosen to live peacefully together and look forward to keeping safe the achievements they attained during this painful yet rewarding journey. My country will always be available to partner with the friends who build peace and tolerance. Our past experience of the genocide has equipped us with such a resilience and a sense of the true respect of fundamental human rights and the respect of the highest gift that God gave us all, which is life. Rwanda could not have achieved its milestones without the contributions of friendly countries and partners that many of you, excellencies, heads of diplomatic missions, and international organizations are representing here. We are so grateful for everything. On behalf of my country and the people of Rwanda, I take this particular moment to thank again the government of India for its role in the reconstruction process of my country. With these remarks, I would like to once again thank you all for your kind presence. There is a need to call upon the international community to recommit to respective engagements to prevent and fight genocide and other serious crimes under international law. Let us urge our governments to allocate proper places for the memorial sites in honor of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. It is important to note that several countries have already started using this method, including UK, United States of America, Belgium, France, Italy, Netherlands, Switzerland, Senegal, Uganda, Tanzania, and so on and so forth. And other countries could also emulate this example of keeping memory of the genocide against the Tutsi, which will obviously prevent human atrocities. In this regard, the High Commission of Rwanda in New Delhi has sent a request to the government of India through the Ministry of External Affairs for the same facilitation. The High Commission of Rwanda will continue working with the Ministry of External Affairs in view of realizing memorial sites in approved places in India. Let us advocate for the inclusion of course lessons about the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in schools to educate the young and the next generation on the need to fight hate ideologies and stand against any form of discrimination and divisionism. Let us engage all UN member states to arrest and prosecute identified and confirmed genocide fugitives residing or hiding in various countries. Let us urge those who haven't yet enacted laws punishing the crime of any genocide recognized by the United Nations or international courts. I wish to reaffirm Rwanda's commitment to continue sensitizing the international community to put in place laws that criminalize genocide and genocide ideology, and it's collaborating with the national and foreign partners in the fight against denial and revisionism of the genocide against the Tutsi. Let us build tolerance, peace, and respect for human rights, especially the fundamental right to existence, to life. Let us all pledge again our commitment to say no to genocides, no to hate speeches, no to discrimination. Let us find the courage together to spread peace. I thank you very much for your kind attention. Danyavad murakoze cyane. So before I go back to my seat, there is a video I want to show you, a beautiful one. You will like. Once again, thank you so much, India, for standing with Rwanda. The illumination of the Kutub Mina meant a lot to the Rwandan people during this time of sorrow. Your delegation to Kigali was so special. Thank you once again, India. May I take this opportunity to invite our chief guest to come forward and deliver his message. Thank you.
Well, after her inspiring speech, I don't know how much I can inspire and share with you, but I'll try my level best. Her Excellency, High Commissioner of Rwanda to India, Jacqueline Mukangira, Dean of the Diplomatic Corps, is sitting here. His Excellency, Sombi Sharp, UN Coordinator, His Excellency, Ambassador of Ireland to India, diplomats, High Commissioners, Excellencies, Ambassadors, guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen, Namaskar and good evening. I am extremely honored to represent Government of India and my ministry, Ministry of External Affairs, on this occasion of 30th commemoration of the genocide against the Tutsis in Rwanda. Today is 30th commemoration. It's called KWIBUKA. We all have gathered here to pay our respects to those who were killed in one of the most terrible genocides in recent history, which took place in April-July 1994. The genocide left a permanent scar on the lives of all those who survived and rendered thousands of children homeless and familyless, completely wiped out. The genocide claimed around over 1 million in the span of 100 days was a grim reminder of what human beings are capable of in moments of insanity. Against this background, Rwanda's response as a nation to this tragedy has been one of the restraint, reconciliation, and peace. President of Rwanda, Kagame, is credited with the bringing about miraculous transformation post-1994 genocide and converting the country into one of the unity, political stability, and promising future countries in the world. The conscious effort by the government of Rwanda and its people has put the country firmly on the path of economic growth and social progress. The country has made tremendous progress since then, and the transformation is a living example of how unity can bring change at a very fast pace in a country. Well, India was one of the first countries in the world which voiced its concerns in alerting the world about the possibility of a genocide in Rwanda as early as possible 1992. During the genocide of 1994, Indian soldiers, as a part of UN peacekeeping force, were the first one to join and also sacrificed several lives while fighting in the line of duty. And there is a realization of this in entire Kigali even today. As a mark of our respect for the dead and to show support and solidarity with the government of Rwanda, our Secretary Economic Relations, also in charge for the Africa, Mr. Dammu Ravi, has participated on 7th in Kigali along with a huge delegation from India. We also responded, as a picture shown by the High Commissioner, a call from the UNESCO and government of Kigali. The lit up Qutub Minar monument was a gift from our side, and we gave at their just small request. Ladies and gentlemen, India and Rwanda are time-tested partners and have common points of view on various issues of regional and global interest in multilateral forums. Visits of their president to India and our Prime Minister to Rwanda gave a new momentum in our bilateral relations. Our External Affairs Minister, Dr. Jaishankar, led the Indian delegation to visit Kigali in June 2025 to attend the 26th Commonwealth Heads of Government in 2023. Our development and economic partnership with Rwanda has been an essential part of our relationship. India is happy to be associated as a development partner, having extended concessional loans, we call it lines of credit, worth over $500 million during the last 25 years or so. These lines of credits are for the broad-based development of Rwanda, covering several sectors. India has also supported Rwanda through gift of several, I would like to say few, which is very important for them, cows from India, which is very essential part of their day-to-day living in Rwanda. I believe cows are gifted as a dowry. High Commissioner shared this last week. So we have gifted. And we also gifted several books, thousands of books, medicines, and we also established entrepreneurship development center in Kigali, which had helped in developing relevant skills to the population. During COVID time also, we had extended full support in sending our Covishield vaccines as a gift, and also under WHO category, we have given over 750,000 vaccines. Well, both leaders have spoken each other on several occasions, sharing difficulties, what is to be done between the two countries. High Commissioner, I can assure you that India will continue to be a trusted friend to Rwanda and its economic development, and a reliable partner in ensuring a bright, safe, and secure future for the friendly people of Rwanda. We intend to build stronger bonds of friendship and cooperation between India and Rwanda, nurturing stronger bilateral ties for progress and prosperity for the people of Rwanda. With these words, Excellencies, friends, ladies and gentlemen, we once again pay our respects to the victims who lost their lives in the genocide. Jai Hind, thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellencies, for your remarks that reflect really the relations between Rwanda and India, and you have touched a lot and enough on this genocide that ravaged our country, Rwanda, 30 years ago. Of course, needless to mention that the relations are always excellent between our two countries, and the people-to-people ties are also excellent. I take actually this time to recognize the role of India-Rwanda Friendship Association in forging a better understanding of new Rwanda in India, promoting and expanding people-to-people connectivity, culture exchange, and bilateral commerce. Excellencies, at this juncture, I think we have really undergone a lot of speeches and very intense ones. And I've actually been observing your attention. Now I think you need some kind of relaxation. So there is one song which was authored by Mr. late Rugamba Cyprien, who was killed during the genocide. He was a visionary singer. The story he was actually singing, he was referring to, happened in 1994, surprisingly. Now, his song, which is entitled Murumbe Twana Twange, he has been singing like leaving a legacy to his children, but a legacy of love, a legacy of love. And along the words he's been putting on air, he's been narrating about the history of Rwanda and trying to see in the future what Rwanda will become. He has even touched on this genocide. He was actually dreaming of things that would happen. Unfortunately, they happened, and he was killed during this genocide. So, but before we listen to this beautiful song, I would like to request our Excellency to felicitate our two speakers with a flower bouquet, and then we shall have the time to listen to the song. So, Excellency, thank you so much. May I call Excellency Excellency Shombi Sharp, UN Resident Coordinator, and His Excellency Mr. Kevin Kelly, Ambassador of Ireland, to come over for the felicitation. Thank you. Thank you so much. Excellency Kevin. Thank you, Excellencies. Thank you. I think there are times when ambassadors and high commissioners hold speeches, and we feel they are speeches that are really diplomatic. But there are also times when we hear some diplomats, excellencies, ambassadors, speaking from their hearts. And this is what we heard today. Thank you so much, Excellencies. Now, I invite our technical team to play this beautiful song. And after this song, before having a tea, I will not have time to say thank you. I think Excellency, my ambassador, has done the job for me. She has eased me the work. She has really thanked everyone here present. I will not hold any vote of thanks. After this song, we shall have a group photo, and then we shall move for the high tea. Thank you.
utwana twanjye n'abaraza urukundo murarugira intego mwese aho mujya hose rubabe rumutako mwiza rubara ngarama bari
muzabona ibibagora bizakagutambamira urwo rukundo
murabe maso hatagira umwanzu bacamo icyanzu
murakomeze mutwaze ntabwo nzabahana
nzagumana namwe nsimbura ibibarwanya
wa mwanzi w'icyatwa ubagarura mu cyaha nzamukubita ijanja mwimure
muhumure naratsinze nimekuru
ntihagire ikibaka
murizihirane cyane mumenye kunda umwanya wanjye ntibaguhinda kandi umusanga ntukabikangwe ujye umpamagara nanjye nze tujye tujyana niyashiri n'insazi ururumure niba kandi usanga ari wowe ujye umuhu ngo ujye unyambaza nkuvure nawe urumurwa muhumure naratsinze nimere ku rukundo
ntihagire ikibaka
That was wonderful. And this is the end. Please, let's have our tea. Oh, group photo. Group photo, Excellency, thank you. Yeah, the song has overwhelmed me, and I thought immediately over high tea. So let's have a group photo. And our protocol team, can you organize us? Excellency says all. Commissioners, representatives of international organizations, diplomats, and other high dignitaries, please come over. Yes, on the stage. I want you on the stage.